Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Aged Out Reacts with the two hosts of the Aged Out podcast, Mike Fantini and.
Evan Worrell.
And as you can see from today's video title, we have a very special guest who we talked to probably almost a little barely over a year now. We watched some Cavaliers with Mr. Mike McIntosh after the 21 season concluded, and now we're here hanging out with him again. He agreed to come chill with us for an evening and watch the Cavs Finals a lot and talk about it and just talk about whatever comes up and just hang out. So, how you been, Mike? It's been a minute.
Good, good. Thank you. Just cooked some really spicy food, so my tummy's rumbling. But
Clear out the
yeah, happy to be
sinuses.
here. Yeah, get it all cleared out. No pollen whatsoever. Thanks for having me, man. I always enjoy this interaction.
Yeah, man, I think it's awesome. Obviously, you guys grace us with your time, the people that we have on, but just to dive into more of what the kids were able to do, what the techs were able to do, design staff, and just really appreciate it on even more of a nuanced level than we already do. So it'll be fun to talk about. I'm sure you guys were also kind of excited and I don't know, maybe just anxious to get out and compete again. I know we've talked to some other folks and some other teams that 2021 really kind of saved, I feel like, the activity, and then 2022 I think really just kind of started to get us back to some level of normalcy. Did you guys feel some of that too?
Uh, as an overall activity, absolutely. In fact, like just like the marching bands in the fall, the embracement level of the crowds was incredible. The level of the drum corps was incredible. Um, were incredible, I should say. We dealt with some serious COVID stuff, so in that way, it was very unnormal,
Right.
abnormal for us, which was tough. I mean, we got a great health and wellness team, so we took it very serious, and it knocked us out. Um, we dealt with some issues with getting the rights to music. We lost about 2 minutes and 40 seconds of music 5 days before Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Not a lot of people know that, so people were wondering why we came out at the gate so slow. I mean, we were constantly 3 weeks behind until maybe the last 2 weeks where we started to really turn it on and catch up. And tribute to the staff and to the membership for sure.
Yeah, what two incredible hurdles to overcome in one season, losing those rights so late in the game. Um, or at least that
Tough.
maybe I won't even say losing, or maybe just not getting the permission so
Well,
late in
I
the
mean,
game.
it it wasn't like we were planning. The belief was that it wasn't going to be an issue, and then 3 months out it wasn't an issue. 2 months out it wasn't an issue. A month out it wasn't an issue, and then all of a sudden it was an issue. So yeah, that was tough. And then the COVID thing. I mean, I went in July for 4 days. I didn't teach. I just did samples with Matt Black for forever. I mean, we had a skeleton core. It was like a tiny little A drum line. We had four snares, two quads, three bass drums. I mean, the pit got just devastated.
Wow.
Um,
It's brutal.
Staff pushed through. The kids pushed through. I mean, it was, we took our lumps. Obviously, competitively, we got beat by some groups that aren't normally in our neighborhood. So shout out to them for, doing a great job. And I was really pleased with how the staff and the membership handled the adversity. I think that was really a huge positive that came out of that is the growth of the team was exponential.
Yeah, an
So yeah, there was
incredible
some
level of perseverance.
Yep.
for sure. Yeah, some
And
good things to garner from that for sure. I mean,
to
it
hear,
wasn't just all doom and gloom, but there were some
Right.
great things.
yep, to hear all that, and then hear how what the finished product still was at the end of the season, and the 3 night average end up in fifth place in percussion is just even more impressive, honestly.
Well, it's tribute to the staff and the kids membership. I mean, we have this. It's funny. Like real quick, just to give you an insight. So we had eight snares. We were looking for a ninth. We were looking for a fifth tenor. We never found anybody that we felt would culturally fit the mold. So Zach, who came from Spirit, it was going to be Spirit sectionally. Unfortunately, Spirit didn't come out. Fortunately for us, because we got Zach, but the membership vetted Zach heavily. Like had some conversations with him one on one. They drummed together. Then the vets met again and discussed, is he the right fit? Not only moves his feet great, has the look. His hands are great, but it was this combination. I was very impressed with the maturity of the team to look at things that hard and build a group of guys that were of that ilk, that the culture was incredible. Obviously, it starts with Josh Brickey and his crew, but we just had the right combination of people, man. And like, they say in the NFL, you can't coach speed, it's just a talent.
Right.
That chemistry ended up pushing us because you could make one comment and they were so tight, migrate the same way. A correction. It was just really, it was set up for success, sure. And that helped us overcome all that craziness in the early season.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, kudos to the kids. Shout out to that. Cheers to that, I'll say. And yeah,
Cheers.
let's get into some of the awesome product that they ended up throwing down and having a great weekend. We'll start off with it, and then we'll just pause as we go and elaborate on maybe how some things came together, or maybe how some things evolved over the course of the summer. And yeah, can't wait.
So
Yeah.
as before we jump in, can I just tell you a little bit about the thought behind the book, just a real Cliff Notes version?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
The show title was Sign of the Times, right?
Signs of the Times. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I'll just speak to the music side. So musically, there's an intellectual, tweak to it, thinking times as far as time, modulating time, stretching time, moving time quick, half time, different tempi, tons of metric modulations, more than what, I would normally do. So the theme of the show, sometimes there's a motive, like in 2011, it was a joom, joom, joom. It was the three notes, right? That if you go back and listen to 2011, that theme is everywhere. Sometimes it's a little more cerebral. This year was more cerebral, so we didn't really have a motive, like a melody. It was what we did in the spaces between the notes and the way we stretched things, and very thought about trying to be very elastic with the book, the way the book moves and flows. Tons of diminution where rhythms would have themselves speed up, augmentation where rhythms would, double themselves for diminution, have themselves for augmentation where the rhythm would slow down. So lots of motivic development in there regarding how we move through time. That was kind of the gist. And by the end, we finally got it. I mean, there was some stuff in there that was like the transition into 1 to 2 was basically a roll for that in 2 bars, jumped 100 beats, just like Hyper Excel. So just, again, trying to do some things different. You got to go out on a limb. That's where the fruit's at. And we're competing with, the best of the best. And we just really tried to bring something that was new and fresh and would only work in our book, which gives us, kind of ownership. So yeah, that's kind of the thought behind Signs of the Times musically. Cliff Walker, his first full year, I just absolutely slashed and rocked the front ensemble stuff. Not many pit arrangers can make it sound like, the battery went first or the battery went second on a whim. There's such a intimacy there with what he wrote. So yeah, Signs of the Times.
Definitely.
Cool.
Dude, and that's pretty wild, and I'm sure you'll point out more of them, but on a pretty good read, I was able to catch a lot of those metric modulations and just accelerandos metrically and stuff through space, and there's a lot of space.
It's a whole lot of space.
So they pulled it off.
Let's get into this sucker here in a second, but since I didn't do it before, head over to LoneStarPercussion.com, use the discount code AgedOut, save yourself $10 on any order of $50 or more. It's band camp and college band and all that season. Everybody needs some stuff. They'll take care of you. Check out the podcast on podcast services or here on YouTube where you're watching this. Check out social media to never miss an update on the podcast. And thank you to Drumline Archives, again, providing the solid video for us to use to watch here with Mr. McIntosh. So I'm ready if you two are.
Mike, I did buy 2 pairs of your sticks off Lone Star, and they both felt really good, so that's good.
I can second that. I have played with them. His pairs.
Thank you.
They're very lovely. They feel good.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump into this thing.
I love this like VHS style intro.
Yeah.
Dude, I do
Sidebar.
too. I love it.
Pause. So right away, obviously, in the bass line, just some incredible control. Just the unison, and then feeds into the split, feeds in the unison. Drums sound fantastic. Shout out Joey Martinez or whoever's doing the tune, Russell, whoever. But yeah, just right away, great quality of space control.
You know,
Love it.
our we used we went to the Renaissance Heads about mid-season, and we just ended up using the Renix and the quads the whole show, and it really kind of helped solidify the tenors. We had Hayden, our center tenor, was incredible. His gift was that he could not play out of time with the snares. So, like, I would put him in the crazy form, and I was like, how did you do that? He's like, I just rushed like crazy. I was like, that you're doing it exactly right. Like, so his gift was that he could put the quads in time. I think that's a huge part of a tenor line, is being able to put their sound with the snares. You know, the best groups do it. This was our opening statement. You know, some super fast duple stuff, 168, all kinds of stuff over the bar line. And we were staged pretty far back. So we really tried to, you know, we tried to create some presence. It's hard when you're on the 50 to generate that intimacy, but we were able to do it. Let me see, what was I going to say? The beginning section, we go into this groove section, which is big old wide groove. And someone asked me, I think Tim Jackson and I had a discussion on why I wrote that there. This mellophone line was happening. I was like, okay, I can't get in the way of that. But we ended up making that a solo, right? So I probably could have gone for it right there and written some more stuff. But I just felt like that groove was a nice palate cleanser in between all this tension we were creating, like kind of a release. So really trying to be cognizant of tension and release, so that, you know, the goal is to get the audience to be breathing with you, right? Like you're just moving and flowing with them, and the drum line is in the pocket, the crowd's in the pocket. So that's a good lot to me.
Yeah, when
tuning,
it
Joey
feels
Martinez.
good and you can bob your head.
Oh, I was sitting
You're
here bobbing
doing
the whole
things
time
right, yeah.
listening to that.
It was just getting them feeling comfortable with it. Like they have to own it first so that they can own it, so the crowd can kind of own it.
For sure.
Yeah, you know, just you trust your staff to tune the drums well. Bass drums always sounded great. Snares and tenors. So yeah, I was pleased.
I was gonna ask, did Bricky tune the snare drums? Because you all in Boston had my two favorite sounding snare line, like from a tuning standpoint. It sounds like a Bricky tuning scheme, what I've come to know and love.
I was impressed with Devil's switch to Ludwig and Colin going back home to Pearl. I mean, it's a Bentley and a Rolls. You know, those companies are great. Yeah, but Josh did the tuning. We put one extra strip of tape on there. Obviously, change of heads on Tuesday. Tops at like a C, bottoms at like a D, guts are maybe like an F sharp, and then, you know, we hand pick out their rods for finals.
Yeah,
cool,
for sure.
All right, let's keep going here.
Garrett Irwin, Mr. Texas.
Love Garrett. Grayson, right there. Yo-Yo Master. Wyatt.
That isolated action and drag was cool.
See, there's augmentation.
Yeah,
Keynote motive.
All those drags and stuff too, and just the accent trading was just very, very tasty.
This was impossible.
Dude, this is that metric cello. I was just like,
hey, rewind that just a little bit. There's a left-handed tap in there. If you isolate that and you made that your taps for every recording you made, it would be the godly tap.
I was gonna say there's that whole phrase. So many cold attack singles with such touch. Can't talk right now. And delicacy. Here, I think we're back before it starts. Let's see.
It's that last left hand.
Okay.
I mean, when that thing hit, you heard like cinnamon, apple pie.
Is it a dotted quarter note space?
By that time, I don't know what it was.
They're just feeling it.
They felt it by that point in the season.
Yeah, maybe a half note. Yeah, but I mean, it was like, you smelled mom's lasagna for like a count. I mean, it was just, it was great.
I love that.
All right, let's hear it again.
Let's enjoy it. The chef's kiss. So much control.
Just the blend at the low end at the edge too to sound that good.
It was all done with voiceover stuff that emulated the Bangles from Less Than Zero 80s movie. There's a progression of music as well. This is the original music. This we lost the rights to.
Ooh,
Crazy
that last
bass feature. You can pause it real quick. So, you got to trust your staff, right? So I went to Joey and I was like, hey, man, or actually, no, it was a different spot. I went to Russell for this one. I was like, hey.
The luxury of
having both.
Luxury of having, like Russell just finished his first short film. It's like, hey, can you make the bass feature work? So he's like, what do you want me to do? I said, just come back. And I'm like, wow. And they came back and I was like, wow, cool. So yeah, this percussion, we segued from 100 to 200. Technically ended up being 192. So 96 to 192 in that 2.5 bars of that roll Excel. And now this is what was Tarkus, but actually became all original music by the end. Very driving, very percussive. Like, so, the brass were very rhythmic, not a ton of melody, a lot of Austin percussionists. It was a fun tune. It's a tune that I've been wanting to do for a long time. So yeah.
What was the name of the tune again?
The original tune was by ELP Tarkus, and then we ended up fixing it. But there's a through line, or changing it, I should say. There's a through line in music. We start with box fugue, little fugue, which was basically written, I believe, in 1703, maybe, or 1603, 17th century.
Couple years ago.
Maybe, yeah, 1703. Anyway, so you've got that, and Tarkus, Steve Miller Band, mid-70s. You've got the Bangles from the 80s. And then there's a couple other Easter eggs we'll get to.
Nice. I backed up a little bit because I wanted to hear some of that again.
Yeah, this tempo jump. Oh, this is the next part. Yep.
And this is all cold. So out of the gate. Here we go.
That very end of that bass part was nice.
Such an incredible edge touch.
Okay, I have to point out, just to give the kudos to that snare line for that, at the edge, going back and forth between triplet rolls and puttitas, just switching the double rhythm on a dime like that and keeping the touch at the edge I just appreciate the hell out of that.
And 7 to 5 to their back and to their right. I mean,
we used to call that the Gillette at the edge. The Gillette.
The edge. I mean, I went back and watched you guys do a 05 Blue Coats podcast a couple days ago, and y'all were talking about the edge, and it's just something I've always felt is important. That really, I mean, a low sound and a high sound are both extremely important.
Yeah.
Good drum lines, accents are together, great drum lines, all that stuff on the on the low end is exquisite.
And I personally always love the front push, not the gut push, but that's just a personal preference.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, I've slowly acclimated to the guts, but man, just a mackerel on the edge, I mean, yummy.
Touches the soul.
Clean mackerel.
Yeah. A clean one touches the soul, just in your soul right there.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear that phrase with those putted and triplet rolls going back and forth and keep rolling.
Yeah, we're trying to stay underneath the vocals here.
Good ping. That was cool.
Great bass support.
So hard, seriously. I can't believe. I mean, when they're on, it's when the big rhythms are clean. That to me says the drumline is
Bass line underneath all that. Oh man. Even the subtlety of, I'll point this out too before we get too far from it. Even the subtlety of the snares came in and they went to that like press stick on stick phrase, like that little groove, and the quads layered in over top of it, and it just, the way that worked for just the textures and the tones to work with each other just was super interesting. I almost want to rewind, but
that's hard to do. I mean, to nuance something, go ahead and rewind it. I mean, that's one long phrase where we are secondary to the brass, and you know, young designers out there, it's very important to pick your spots.
Here we go. All right, let's hear that again and just. Right here.
Texture change, volume doesn't change.
Just such great interplay.
Yeah. I love that ping so much the second time too.
Cheese chichetas.
Good threes. Good control of them.
Yes.
No room for error here. On the right in front of the helmet, cold attack, in a diamond.
Oh man, that one too.
Man.
They're in some crazy forms here too. Split side to side.
Dude, all those rolls just at the edge, starting so in.
Oh, that one too.
Quad. It's like a call and response of great crescendo rolls. The quads. Dude.
So good.
So that was written in like an odd meter over the phrase. So like it eventually, like you figure out where you want it to land and then you count backwards. So sometimes if I'm writing, if it needs to land at C, I'm counting backwards, you know, 18 counts to start this canonic development so that it ends there. So you can hear it kind of laid on each other, and finally it just went bam kind of thing.
Yeah. Dude, that's a
That whole
great
phrase
moment.
was so cool. So
It's
interesting.
called the Doppler. It's a side to side thing.
Yeah, all right. Going away, coming towards you.
Yeah, more left to right.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm starting that over because that roll out of nowhere in the middle of that phrase. There's some beef here. Here we go. Let's get that again.
This pattern speeds up and slows down. Bases.
Lots of fightless. Such a good high battery blend in that moment. Wow. Yeah.
Fun tune. Okay, so this
I'll pause. Here we go. There we go.
this is the quad feature. I don't guess we played what we called part 4 in the lot. So part 4 was major Easter eggs. It had a lot to do with the Mars lick is in there. You'll hear it later, but the Easter egg was intellectual in thought, because in Fight Club we did that big rhythm which I had taken from the Beastie Boys. One of the little spots that I kind of sketched and Brett added his magic to in '02. But yeah, what said it? Yeah, don't get me started on some Beasties.
Boom, boom.
So, shaving a haircut 2 bits. So right from that, we went into this. What would drums sound like in 2050 kind of thing. So we play that, and then we go into these features, which were on ramps. Incredible what we're asking of the membership as they're being moved around, because your vertigo is kicking in, right? Your center of gravity. This isn't normal the way your body feels as you're drumming because you're being moved. But even the cymbal sounds, like I worked with Matt Black, I was like, what would suspended cymbal sound like in 2050? So every sound you hear electronically in this section is supposed to be future. So you get this 2002 Fight Club, and then immediately, like, we've moved forward. So there is a chronological aspect to this that, three people in the audience
very interesting.
But there's methodology to the madness for sure here.
You gotta have those things for yourself though too. I would imagine it's like being on a movie set and the actors in the cast and the producers all know like certain things that are in the film that the general audience doesn't know, but you watch it and you're like, see what we did there. It's like, oh, this part was all ad-libbed.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful with that, because when stuff's too inside and you're the only ones getting it, the audience is going, what? Yeah, it's like,
right over their heads.
But that was one of them.
All the '02 callback stuff though was very recognizable. I remember the first time I heard the show, I was like, well, that takes me back.
And they played it so well. I mean, that's a hard phrase. It's a long phrase of big rhythms, and they killed it. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.